So why do you need to do the ketogenic diet and fasting at the same time? We're going to discuss that. And so the common thread between doing the diet and doing fasting is that you have a lowered glucose, okay, and you also have a lowered insulin. That's a hormone. And so when you do this, you have all sorts of amazing benefits. You lose weight, your blood sugars now are regulated, you have better mood, you have improved cognitive function, focus, memory, concentration, you have less inflammation, and you have decreased cravings. But there's some very unique additional benefits that occur with fasting, okay? When you do fasting, you create an epigenetic effect, okay? What does epigenetics mean? It means above genes. So if you were born with bad genes or you had some, gene that triggered this or that, those genes could be controlled epigenetically. In other words, fasting creates an effect on your genes that turn off the bad genes and turn on the good genes, okay? So that's one thing that's very, very important. And some of this information I got from Sim Land, who I'll put his link down below, or his website, you can check it out. He wrote a great book. He was in my last summit, and he's really, really knowledgeable about intermittent fasting. Number 2, autophagy. You don't experience autophagy when you're just doing keto, okay? What is autophagy? Autophagy is like getting the junk out of the trunk. All the dead cells, all the damaged proteins in your body get recycled and turned into brand new cells. So this is why you look younger when you start doing intermittent fasting, because you induce autophagy, which does a lot more than anti-aging, but it's just a cleaning process. You're recycling garbage through the body, and that way that garbage doesn't sit there and create inflammation and a lot of bad things. Number 3, it will turn on genes that specifically allow DNA to repair better. It's quite interesting. When you inside the cell, you have these blueprints. They're called DNA, and your body actually makes a copy of them. Okay, and then it's called RNA, and it's transported outside the cell into these little machines or factories that start building body tissue. Now, it's very, very bad if there's some errors in this genetic code in the blueprints, because then they're going to start reproducing the wrong body tissue. And so when you do fasting, it improves the repair process in scanning the code and looking for errors and coming in there and fixing them before they're used in the factories. And that's just fascinating that your body would actually do that. Also, fasting will turn on genes to adapt to stress better. You become more protected against stress. Even if someone is on some type of chemotherapy or radiation, when you do fasting, your cells become more resistant. That's interesting. All right, number 4, you start increasing your antioxidant networks. Your body actually makes antioxidants. So you can get them from food or your body makes them. When you do fasting, your body builds up that network. So now you have more antioxidants to protect yourself against oxidation and pollution, etc., etc. Number 5, you get decreased inflammation. And this comes in handy, especially if you have arthritis, some autoimmune disease, or you have some pain in your body. That tends to be chilled out. Number 6, you can decrease your risk of cancer. Okay, certain genes that trigger cancer are turned off. In addition to that, there's something else in your body that controls growth. There's actually quite a few, but there's 2 things specifically. One is called mTOR, which is a thing in your body that can be good or bad. It can actually increase the growth of cancer if it's too high. Fasting turns that thing right off. When you're on the ketogenic diet and you're eating, it doesn't turn this off because eating increases this. So fasting, especially if you're doing periodic prolonged fasting, can turn this off, which can greatly reduce the size of tumors and actually prevent and shrink cancer, which is very, very cool. Also, you'll get a decrease in something called IGF, which you normally always see when you have cancer as well, because it's a growth hormone. And so when you fast, you get a decrease in this and that. So anyone that gets cancer should be doing fasting in a major way. It's probably the most important thing. Number 7, you get an increase in growth hormone, and that's the anti-aging, that's fat burning, and growth hormone helps prevent the loss of muscle because your body's going to protect that. When you're eating, regardless of what you're eating, you're not stimulating growth hormone near as much as when you're doing fasting. Of course, when you add exercise, that will increase it as well. All right, number 8. This one's a really important one. You can increase your stem cells in your immune system. What is this going to do? It's going to protect you against invading pathogens, viruses, bacteria. So as far as your immune system goes, fasting is vital, vital, vital. So you'll get sick less often, and when you do get an infection, you recover faster. And number 10, there's something called migration motor complex. It's basically when the muscles in your colon start creating a little bit of a wave and push all the food particles through the rest of your digestion so you can kind of clear out stuff that has been sitting there for a while. Now, I mean, think about the average person who eats not just 3 times a day, but they have the snacks in between the meals, they eat late at night. They are literally cramming food down this pipe, and it's constantly filled up 24/7. They never actually have a chance to clean it out. So this is a cleaning out process when you do intermittent fasting that's very, very therapeutic for the lining of your colon, to prevent bacteria from being in the wrong place, etc., etc. Now, there's many other things that intermittent fasting will do, but one big one is that it will completely get rid of your hunger. Your appetite goes away, even more than when you're on the ketogenic diet, simply because even though a low-carb diet reduces insulin, the fact that you're eating can stimulate some insulin. So this is why the combination of keto and IF, I think, is essential, because if you're doing intermittent fasting without keto, the higher amount of carbs that you would eat is going to prevent some of the cool effects that you experience. But if you're doing keto without intermittent fasting, you won't get these effects right here. You'll get these effects, but you won't get the whole package. So let's just weigh this out. Let's see, you get younger, you get thinner, you get happier, smarter because your brain neurons start to grow, and less disease. Hard choice, but I think I'll go with the keto and IF.